Just start with where you can. Start from where you can. Start with what you can change for the positive. Fix what you can first. We're going through different obstacles, up and down, thinking about the past, about the future. I say just think about the present, focus on today. Within today, you've got the future and the past in it. So I'll say just start where you can, where you are today. Think about your life. What can I fix? What can I change? You're struggling through debt, through loss of work, wherever you're going, relationship, just start with what you can. First, this is how I pick and choose what to change first. First, I'll say to myself, what can you change? What can you fix on your own without the assistance of anyone? What can I get up today and I can change this, or I can fix this on my own? So you start there. Change things you can, fix things you can on your own. And then second, like, what can you change or what can you fix with less capital? You don't need so much money to do this. You could finance this yourself. If it's financial terms, you could work on this yourself. If it's personal growth, you can learn from other people's experience. So I would say, this, I can change things on my own, and I can change this with less capital. So these are my priorities. I'll start around those first. Now, number 3, do I need other people's involvement in this? Do I need to work with someone at this early stage to achieve this, or can I work on this on my own? Because regardless of who you're trying to work with, sometimes trying to rely on someone, it's much harder than working on your own, except you and this same person share the same goal, the same drive. So these are the things you should consider if you're trying to change. If you're thinking about the past, the future, just start where you can, where you are today. For example, you're going through a lot of pains and you're thinking, how can I change it? Or no, I don't care. Of course you care. No one wants to be in pain, constant pain, especially if we can change that. So if you're experiencing any kind of fear, any kind of pain, any kind of difficulty, of course you want to change that. Now the question is, how do you go about fixing that? You don't hide yourself under the sound and do the ostrich effect and say, of course I don't care about this pain. Sure, you care about that pain. You want to get rid of that pain. And now, how do you get rid of that pain positively without experiencing that pain again? So these are the steps. And the first thing you think about, is this pain a recurring pain, or is it a one-off? So if this pain or problem, it's a recurring problem, therefore you need a longer term plan to fix this, because you don't want this pain to carry on. If this is a one-off, a new experience, then you're thinking about, okay, how do I fix this? Because I'm probably never going to experience this again. But if you're facing the same problem time after time, then you need to take a much, drastic plan, a strategy, a plan of attack, a game plan. But not all the pain, all the problem, all the troubles will go that we see and experience that we can fix. Some things we just can't fix it. And we just learn to walk around it, learn to live with it, learn to accommodate it. For instance, something might bother you, might worry you, give you some problem, but you can't fix them. They're just there constantly. You can't fix them. Of course, you want them to go away. You would like to fix them, but it's not within your power. I'll give you an example. Most of us have family members. Most of us have family members who you could never fix them. They can never get enough. Nothing is good enough for them. They're basically just like a basket. All they do is drain. You can never fill a basket with water. You take a horse to the river, you can never force it to drink. Some of our family members are like this. All they do is complain, everything, nothing works for them. Regardless, whatever you do is never enough. You cannot lift them. They're always facing doom and gloom. Now, that's a bad environment to be. You don't want to be in that environment. I don't want to have people around that environment. Why? Because they're always going to bring everyone's motivation, momentum, drive down. These people's main goal in life is to drain, complain. Nothing is good enough. So with this kind of problem, some things are better left to their own devices. If you're trying to fix them, you both will go down. You both will go down with the ship. Both of you. You would drown. So it's better to jettison these people, throw them off board. Because in the first place, you don't want them around the ship, because they're going to contaminate everyone. All the attitude is going to be the same. Everyone's going to try and avoid them. They're going to break the morale, the motivation, because they're there. Basically, that is just who they are. You can never fix them. Whatever you say to them, they're like, yes, but. They always have a but. And if someone is starting off from that point, yes, but you should move on. When someone starts a conversation with you, says, but you should, don't try and convince them. They've already made up their mind. They're not going to change. All they want to do is for you to agree. They're never going to change. So in that case, just put them out. Let them go. You could put them in a place, cover them with a blanket, feed them, clothe them, and just leave them where they are. You can never change them. You can never bring them. They are part of the 97%. There's nothing you can do to change those. Just leave them in the angle, let them go, move on. You don't want this attitude affecting your passengers on the ship. The biggest influencer of human being is the environment and attitude. And once you have this kind of attitude in a very small environment, it's bound to contaminate. So get rid of them. Put them out. Because you want to lighten the boat so the boat will get to the shores and save more lives. Because if you don't do that, the boat might perish and everyone might go down with the boat. So what I'm saying to you is, like, I wish I knew this in my teens, even in my 20s. I would have been, further in life than where I am. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well. But had I had this knowledge early in life, imagine what I would have done with my life. Because this is no surprise to me. Where I grew up, no one read. No one read. I grew up where no one read, no mentor. Anyone hardly went to school completely and had anything to show for it. So, it was no surprise that I grew up the same way. Not knowing the importance of reading, not knowing, all everyone had to do in my area was just make it through high school. That's the best you can do. Make it through high school. No one had a plan what to do after high school. It was just the best you can do is make it through high school. That was it. That was the maximum. No one had a plan of what to do after high school. So this is not an excuse, but I'm just trying to make you understand that had I known, if I had this knowledge to start reading books, learning from other people's experience early enough in life, I would have been in a better place than I am today. So that's why I'm making this tape, trying to reach out to people like me who grew up in this area, like myself, trying to get them to focus early in life, read early in life, start learning from other people's experience. Because the thing is about life is limited. You don't have that time to learn from your experience, 10 years of failures. You don't have that time. But you can learn this from other people who've made mistakes in life, who've become successful. And how do you do that? You can only do that through reading and learning. So if you're like me, you grew up like, where I came from, no one was reading around your area, no one was encouraging you to read, I would say you don't know where to start. You can start here. One thing I'll tell you, one thing you should know is the universe is like a mothership. Once you name something, once you choose something that you're gonna go after this thing, and you're willing and ready to pay the price, you don't just choose something like I desire to have this. No, because whatever you get, that's what you are. You become something. So you want to go after something, therefore you want to become something. And to become is a process of transformation from where you are to where you're willing to become. So once you make up your mind, you pick something and you say, this I'm going to be, this I'm going to go after, this I'm going to pay the price. The universe will work together to ensure that you get that, because the universe is there always just to support you. It's just waiting for you to make the decision, and then it works in your favor. So number 2, now remember, you, just you, only you have made that decision to change. And this decision is not made for you by someone else. So it becomes a lot easier, because when you make the decision, this is self-determination, self-discipline. You work towards it. That's why it's very difficult to make a decision for someone else, because the goal is yours. The motivation, you can't carry someone else on your motivation, on your goals and your dream. They're bound to jump up somewhere halfway because they can't see the end goal. But you can see. That's why when you take a horse to the stream, you can't force the horse to drink, because that is your goal, that's your drive. So but when someone else makes that decision for themselves, they're willing to go all out. They're willing to give 100% because they're starting off with intention. Oprah Winfrey says, always start with an intention. So goal, motivation, drive, everything is an intention. When you start off with an intention, then you're willing to pay the price because you can see the end goal. But when you can't see the end goal, or you're carrying someone along who is not able to see the end goal, all they do is just act like kids. Like when you're taking your kids on holiday, or you're going to a destination, they're at the backseat, all they keep asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Why? Because they can see the end goal. Only you, the driver, can see the end goal. So when you pick a dream, you become the driver. You have the steering wheel. You're in control. So regardless of what life throws at you, regardless of what obstacle up and down, you can see the end goal. Therefore, you would persist. But when you're trying to carry someone else on your dream, that's why you're bound to fail. You're bound to fail. Number 3, we see what we aim at. Whatever we aim is what we see. Have you ever noticed, like, even the best camera in the world, once they're out of focus, every picture they take becomes blurry. So you only see what you aim at. So the best camera in the world, when it focuses on something else, on something, everything around it becomes blurry. Why? Because it's like a picture, it's capturing what it's aiming at. So as a human, when you aim at something, that's all you see. Even the Holy Book says, seek and ye shall find. So you only seek what you find. And many people are where they are because their mind can't see beyond their current circumstance. That's all they see. They don't have an intention. They don't have a goal in sight. They just see today, their current situation. That's all they see, and that's why they are where they are. I'm not saying a lot of people have ups and downs, things happening that is with their control. Life is life. But most, 97% of the people in this world are where they are based on what they've aimed at. So once you've made this goal, you're ready to go, start afresh. Start afresh. Start where you are. Start from where you can. Dedicate yourself to a new discipline, a new way of life, a new self-development. Read more books, take more courses. Attach yourself with people with goal, people who drive, people who will help you become something. And then ask yourself, what would it take for me to get to my destination? What are my intentions? So I would say to you, read books. Read books. Study everything within your field. The field you've chosen, you should study everything within that field. No shortcuts. No one has ever become something through shortcuts. They say the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. Have you ever noticed when you're trying to get to somewhere, like, oh, quickly, oh, let me just take that shortcut, and then you got there, you don't know the road is blocked, and now you're making twice the journey, because now you're getting back to your start destination and you're trying to go to where you should have been in the first place. So sometimes you end up making 3 times the journey because you're looking for shortcuts. So when you start reading, read everything you can, study everything you can, analyze everything you can, and don't take shortcuts. Shortcuts will never get you. Shortcuts will work against you. Shortcuts will always work against you. They say the most successful people in the world in their field are those who read everything. Those who read everything, those are the most important people in their field. So read everything. Analyze your past experience. Analyze other people's past experience. Study, study, study. There is no other option than to study. And through this, you will develop new skills, new idea, new power. Instead of wishing like life was easy, you wish life brings you obstacles to solve, because now you've become a problem solver. And what's a problem solver without a problem? So when you become a problem solver, you look for problem to solve, because that has become you. Nothing is problematic. You look forward to problems. So never wish life was easier and just dull and really the same. No. Wish you're facing challenges and you're overcoming them. What's the point of winning if you can lose? That's why people go into competition, because they want to win. They know the option to lose is there. But the winning becomes more sweeter. Shakespeare says, sweet are the fruits of the juice. Because to win, you have to face obstacles. You have to go against challenges. You have to put yourself on the line. These are most things to start off with. I realized this late. Read, read, read. And they say the top 3% of the people in the world are those who can communicate effectively, clearly. Like, life is about presentation. And this is what you have to read. Because sometimes, if you grew up like where I grew up, no one is teaching you this. People just, the best they can do is to make it out of high school. Out of high school, that's the best, that's the highest they're aiming for. So where is someone going to tell you to go and read? Most people die, they start declining after high school. Why? Because they stop learning. That's why the limit. After high school, they start declining every single day. So they spend 12 years to make it through high school, primary school and secondary school, and they spend another 12 years to get back to zero, because they decline every single year. Every single year they stop learning. They stop learning, they start declining. So read, study, improve on your communication, communicate clearly, effectively. They say life is about presentation. Life is about presentation. Those who make it to the top are able to present clearly, precisely. People are willing to listen to a leader. Now, I'm not talking about packaging. Self-packaging has become the new phenom with social media, where people package or become what they're not. No, this is temporary. This is a shortcut. I'm not talking about packaging. I'm talking about presentation. How you present your communication, your word, your analysis to others. How you make. Now, you have to climb. In life, you will have to present to climb the ladder. There's too many people presenting in life, and there's very few people listening. Just like there's more people with ideas than very little investors. So your communication has to be very clear, very effective. No one has the time to listen to you over and over again. There's too many ideas. People are trying to pick you out from the crowd. What about yourself? How many times do you give it trying to listen to new music, a new song, a new book? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you're ready to move on. Our brain is so busy, our life is so busy. So your communication must be clear, precise. Work on it. If you're not good, no, most people haven't got the skill, but just start. Work on it every day. Overcome your fears. Put yourself in the place where you're willing to fail. Sometimes if you don't fail, you don't become better. Be willing to fail. Be willing to be laughed at. Most people in life have succeeded after people have laughed at them and said, no, that will never work. You never succeed. You never make it. And they've come out the other side. So be willing to put yourself in that situation. So we are in a communication age. You have to be concise, accurate in analyzing anything. The people who read and study are the most successful in the world, regardless of their field. And communication, they say communication is 85% of what makes you. They check the people who are the leaders in the world. Communication, they're always clear and precise. So communication is not just about what you know, it's about how you present what you know, what you do with what you know. And how do you get to this point? How do you learn all this? Remember, most people start declining after high school. After high school, that's it, they're done. So how do you grow yourself every day? Reading. Because the thing with reading, it takes you on a journey. It takes you to see the face of the world. It takes you places you can't go. It makes you meet people. It makes you see languages, food. That's the thing about reading. Reading brings out something else in you. It opens the world up to you. A kid in Ajegunle could see the world, could read far and wide. Why? Because they're able to travel in their mind. They're able to read from other people's experience, learn other people's experience. That's the thing with reading. You learn. And I will say to you, just like a kid who grew up in Ajegunle, we are at this current moment. At least I was at this current moment. When I started, I was 10 years behind and 1,000 books behind. Why? Because if most people start declining after high school, let's say after high school, maybe out of high school 18, 16, some 21, and now you're in your 30s, 40s. So instead of reading books, you've been declining. And someone who came from a background where they understood the importance of reading, I've been reading 12 books a year or 10 books a year, 10 times 10. So most time we are 10 years behind and 1,000 books behind. That's why I say read. And books have become free these days. I walk around and they're selling books on the street, 500 naira, 1,000 naira. Books are cheaper than food. And the thing is, like, books, knowledge is worth more than food. By reading, we learn from other people's experience, other people's mistake. This is the only way, and this is the only shortcut you should take. Learn from other people's mistake. If not, it will take you 10 years. The only shortcut worth taking is reading and learning from other people's mistakes so you don't make that mistake yourself. If not, it will take you 10 years and 1,000 books to get to that position. So if you're going to take a shortcut, read books. If not, 10 years later, in your 60s, you'll be down and broke, and you'll be part of the 95% or 97% in the world who never bothered to read, who start declining at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21. Immediately they made it out of high school, they started to decline. They started to go downhill. If you don't do that, you will end up that. Everything you learn, they say everything we learn we'll forget in 18 months. Everything you learn, everything you read, you forget in 18 months, 1.5 years. Everything you read, you forget in 1.5 years. So how do you continuously grow? How do you continue to refresh yourself? Just like You don't live on the food you've eaten like a year ago, or you don't drive your car based on the fuel you added to your car a year ago. You have to continuously refuel, continuously nourish yourself, continuously work on your knowledge. And considering that knowledge is greater than food, knowledge is more superior than food. And we're trying to eat every single day, but we don't read every single day, every year. We don't read a book. Some people read a book a month, a week. But some people, like 10 years after, what was the last book you read? Like, some people never read. If you grew up where I grew up, you probably never read. You don't have any business you're trying to live day to day. So when I understood that, a lot of people stop thinking. I never thought about that. Like, a lot of people do not think. I just thought you did things, you woke up, you brushed. No, that's repetitive. That's, mundane. A lot of people never sat down and had the time to think about something. How do I change my current circumstance? How do I get out of this neighborhood? How do I become something? How do I help another person? How do I impact the family? How do I grow? And most people are too scared to fail. They never try anything. Even when they have all the ideas, they never try anything at all. They're too scared to fail. They're too scared of what people are going to say. Now I used to drive, now I take the bus. Or now I used to wear high heels, now I wear flip-flops. Or now I used to have Brazilian hair, fake hair, now I cut my hair short. Most people are too scared to fail. That's the problem. Most people are too scared to fail to even start. Why? Because around the neighborhood, everyone goes around on self-packaging. People package themselves so much, the family member can't even tell them. People put on so much filter these days. You see them in person, you ask them, who is this? We're going around our life with filters. Why? Because we're so scared to be the real one. We're so scared to learn something new. We're so scared to grow. We're so scared to becoming ourselves. You can never become the best of another person. You only become number 2. And number 2 is just the last loser. 10 people enters into a competition. A runner-up is just the last to lose. He's still a loser. So you want to become the best you can, because how to become number 1, you have to become the best of you. If you're trying to become any other person, you will become a runner-up. And what's a runner-up? The last loser. The last loser. They still go through the pain of losing. It might be a different level of pain, but they're still going through that pain of losing. You don't want to become a loser in your life. You want to become a winner. And how can you become a winner? It's by becoming the best you can. So by reading books. Read books. The thing about reading books is it encourages us to fail. It shows us great people in this world who have failed in different fields. Therefore, we're not scared of failing anymore. If these people can fail and still make it, then I'm willing to fail and try harder. That's the thing about reading books. We never learned this from our neighborhood. Why? Our environment is the biggest influencer, and everyone around us fails and hides it. Imagine if they had a presentation, a seminar of where people come and just talk about their failures. Instead of imagine that church, when you go to your church, where people come out to your church and give testimony, testimony of success. Imagine those people always come and give just testimony of failures. Imagine that. So we can go to church, take a notebook, take a pad, and just write down, the experience and learn from them. Imagine if we had that, a testimony of failures in church. But you never get this. All you saw though is testimony of success, and therefore we just hide in our head till we become successful. And how do we become successful? We have no idea. Why? Because we don't read. We don't read. Now I encourage you to read. By reading, you learn that it's okay to fail and try again. You see other people who have failed, who didn't succeed at first, or who didn't succeed at first, but they tried again and again. They tried again and again. And that's the way for you to walk your way to becoming a pro. Every pro was once a beginner. So by going through that process of failure, you're learning, you're proving to become a pro. So don't become lazy in mind. Don't become lazy in learning. Don't become lazy in studying. Study your failure. Study more of other people's failure. Great man, horrible man, bad man. Don't become lazy. Study, study, study. Learning, they say learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of wealth. Once you open your mind to learn, then you've opened your mind to become wealthy in different ways. Now, what you're going to do, what you've learned, depends on you. But once you have acquired the knowledge, then you can use it how you please. So if I say one thing to you, please study, study, study. Don't become the 97% who start declining at the age of 21. Become the 3%. Become the 3% who at the age of 65, they can do what they want. They're never dead and broke. Become a reader. And I will say to you, please today, start where you can.